Back home front, LSU, Frank Wilson, his first Monday press conference as the interim head coach. LSU gets ready for Alabama. First housekeeping order at noon today. It was announced that LSU and Arkansas will be an 11:45 start time on the SEC Network in Tiger Stadium. So morning kickoff in Tiger Stadium. I know that doesn't make a lot of folks super happy. I don't love it either, but as I've said many times, I will take it. I would prefer they play that game at 7 o'clock at night, but if you're going to get me off the air at 5:15, I'm going to take it. LSU's not going to win the national championship this year, so if I can go to dinner with my family as opposed to staying up until 3 o'clock in the morning like I do some post games, we'll take it. But it's a bummer for LSU fans to get that Arkansas. But you lose 3 games, you get pushed off the primetime spots. That's just the way things go. I think the television networks are banking on LSU having 4 losses and having 3 SEC losses in a row. So it is what it is. LSU and Arkansas, 11:45, coming up a week from Saturday. Housekeeping notes, Frank Wilson said that Whitweek's questionable this week with a bone bruise. They're going to try to ramp up his workload. It's a pain tolerance thing for him, how much he can play through. We'll see. I think questionable this point in the week would suggest that there's a doubt that he's going to play, but we'll see. I'm just going to lay all the cards out on the table. It's not necessary for me to do this, guys, but I'm going to do this for y'all just because I find it a little bit humorous. I was hammering away at my story in the fourth quarter of the LSU-Texas A&M game in disgust at what I was watching. I didn't even know Carius Curne got hurt. I don't even recall that play happening. I was typing my story, and there wasn't like some sort of big reaction because there were no LSU fans left, but I had to go back and Google it. Turns out he hurt his ankle in the fourth quarter and was evaluated in the medical tent. I did not even know that happened. Matt Moscono asked Frank Wilson about it today, and I was like, Curne, when did he get hurt? I had to Google it. I didn't know. That's on me. I'll go back and watch the film and get better. I didn't even realize he got hurt. But, questionable for this week. Carius Curne is questionable. So there are some options for LSU at left tackle. Tyree Adams is not one of the options. He's out, high ankle sprain, had tightrope surgery. He's not playing in the game on Saturday. So Curne cannot play. You can play DJ Chester at left tackle, or you can make some switches. You can put Weston Davis at left tackle and play somebody else at right tackle, whether that's Ori Williams, Josh Thompson kicking out to right tackle where he's played, where you can sub Eccles Mabenga in there at guard. Like, there are some movable pieces there. But Brian Kelly said that Josh Thompson was not an option at left tackle. Brian Kelly's not there anymore, so I don't know if that's now an option at left tackle. But right now, you've got a question mark there because you may not have your top 2 options at left tackle in Tyree Adams and Carius Curne. So if you got to play DJ Chester at left tackle, that's just a tough spot for him. I feel bad in some respects for DJ Chester. DJ Chester is probably a guard. Like, all indications are that he's a guard. As a redshirt freshman, he was told to play center. And this year, he's the 6th man, but the tackles keep getting hurt, so he's having to play tackle. So I think it's a situation where you've got a young man who has a skill set, but it's being misused based out of necessity. And Brian Kelly said this back early in the fall. He said, like, I feel bad for him because he's being asked to play out of position, basically. And what it comes down to me is I look at, like, I feel like theoretically you should have someone ready as a backup at all 3 spots, at tackle, center, and guard. And to have one guy at the ready for all that, where he's having to cross-train at every single spot, is a tough ask. Because it's a different thing playing right guard and playing left tackle. And you're asking DJ Chester to be proficient at center, where he's the backup, then to be proficient at guard, and then to be proficient at either tackle, right or left. And while he has played more left tackle because Curne went in at right tackle when Davis got hurt, part of that was because you had a targeting foul situation with Chester and he couldn't play. So there's a lot of moving parts up on LSU's offensive front. And I can't help but think that does play a part in LSU's inability to get a lot of stuff going on offense. I did not say it was the downfall of the offense. I think there are a lot of factors at play there. But I do think that it would help if there was a little more continuity and a little bit more position specificity where you had guys locked in at places instead of, just kind of whatever opens up, go. How do you work on that at practice? Like, where do you take your reps? that would appear to me to be a difficult spot to put him in. But that's kind of where they are. And you heard more today from Frank Wilson. This will kind of be my last talking point on what Coach Wilson had to say at the podium. More about running the ball. And he's not shying away from this. Like, they asked him again about the running game, and he said, this is a huge emphasis for us. So, like, at this point, Bama's going to know that LSU is coming to Tuscaloosa with the intention of running the ball a significant amount of times. So we'll see how that works out. I was on the LSU press conference today with Chris Blair. We did the kind of the pre-show to Frank Wilson's press conference, and I gave you the stat that I gave you last week, that there are only 13 teams in college football's FBS subdivision that run the ball fewer times than LSU. I expect that to change over the last month. And Frank Wilson talked about Harlan Berry. He talked about Caden Durham. He mentioned wanting to get Juwan Johnson involved. And I think you're going to see that from LSU in the game on Saturday. How successful that's going to be, I don't know. Bama's run defense is not very good. But LSU's run offense has not really proven much. So hopefully they can get something established early, and hopefully they can hold Alabama down to a degree so that they can continue to run it. Because I think they wanted to run it last week, and they looked up late in the third quarter, and they were down 3 scores. Well, running it kind of takes a back seat when you're in that situation. So that's most of the talking points from Frank Wilson. He feels like the morale is very good. He led the press conference with that today. That remains to be seen. I'm curious to talk to the players tomorrow and kind of hear what we hear from those guys. Everybody's got to kind of find their motivation this week, whether that's the NFL, beating Alabama, playing for LSU, playing your last college games, for tape for the transfer portal so you can negotiate a higher NIL deal. Like, whatever it is that makes you tick this week, next week, bye week, following week, whatever, that's got to be brought out. And that's Frank Wilson's job this week, to make sure that those guys are ready to play. We'll see. I'm going to write about it later this week once we talk to the players and kind of my vibes on how they're going to feel. But it's certainly an interesting time at LSU. Last week was maybe the most tumultuous week in the history of the program, losing your head coach and your athletic director in the course of 1 week. That's a lot. We'll see how things play out over the next 72 hours or so.